pray for us, ladies and gentlemen.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy. It's a massive game. Chelsea are hosting the treble winners, Manchester City at home, after having won a very, very strange game indeed away at Tottenham Hotspur 4-1. Pochettino has spoken. Said a lot of things in his pre-match presser. Spoke about Nkunku and Romeo Lavia. Of course, massive talking points when those guys are going to return. Spoke about Sterling and Reece James not going to England duty. He also talked about Nico Jackson, who of course is coming off a Premier League hat-trick. More hat-tricks than Marcus Rashford, the same amount of hat-tricks in the Premier League as Eric Cantona. Nicolas Jackson. But I'm pleased Pochettino said what he said, and we're going to speak about that today. Also spoke about Cole Palmer. Lots to get into, and I will show you my lineup and who I think should play going to this game against Man City. I think Man City are going to be without John Stones, which is like a bit of a blow. Bit of a blow for them, but Rodri, you can bet your bottom dollar, will be available, and Erling Haaland and the whole fun gang are going to be coming on down to Stamford Bridge to try and eat us alive, and we're going to do our best to prevent that from happening. But lest we forget, some of our better performances this week, and this season, have come against Arsenal and Liverpool at home, two of the better teams in the Premier League. Why can't we keep it going with Man City? And I'm just counting just the craziness that happened away at Tottenham. We can put that to bed for the moment. History will look upon that fixture kindly. Chelsea, ended the winning streak of Tottenham in their own backyard and won 4-1. Tottenham lost their heads and had 2 players sent off. Great! Historically, checks notes, what a lovely time that was. Nico Jackson hat-trick. Let's start with that. Thank you for joining me. Please do drop a like on the video to support the content. You are welcome, of course, as always, to subscribe if you want to be a part of the community. And should you choose to do so, you should hit the bell notifications icon and make sure they're all switched on. All right, mate. So yes, first of all, Reece James, it wasn't him who decided not to go to England duty. Pochettino confirmed that it is their own medical staff. Now, if you watch my recent videos, I speculated that he would be on like a sort of specific rehabilitation program with the Chelsea medics, and they will be less inclined for him to go away to some other doctors and medical team and other coaching staff and like with England, and they'd probably see that as counterintuitive, which is essentially seemingly what's happened. Pochettino confirmed that because there were articles essentially inferring that James made the decision. He did not make the decision. Raheem Sterling is an interesting one, of course, snubbed for was it the 5th squad in a row, which is wild. I listened on to the Athletic daily briefing this morning, and they think something else might be going on. I'm not going to speculate, but Raheem Sterling's form has been up and down, but it's been better than Rashford's this season, and he's been, like I said in recent pieces of content, if Southgate wants to stand true to his old performers like Maguire and stuff, and Pickford, you should absolutely include Raheem Sterling in that. But anyway, Pochettino spoke about it. He says, look, the only thing he can do is play well for his club and try and prove Southgate wrong. So let's see, as Chelsea fans, and many of you will be non-England fans, that might work better for us and Sterling might perform better. Now, he did speak about Cole Palmer, also how well he's flawlessly fit into this Chelsea side, which he has, by the way. He probably, now Maddison's pulled out of the England team. I think Southgate should consider Cole Palmer as this, number 10 player. I don't think he will, but he ruddy well should. Pochettino was singing Palmer's praises in terms of how well his confidence and self-belief, which Lord knows we need in this team. So yes, spoiler, he's in my lineup. We'll look at the lineup at the moment. But he also spoke on Nicolas Jackson. Of course, headlines are Nicolas Jackson scored a hat-trick. And Pochettino, when posed about this question, is it good for him, confidence moving forwards, that he can be the Chelsea man? I'm so pleased he responded like this, because he could have been, yes, of course, it's good for the confidence, we believe in him, da-da-da-da-da-da. He said, yeah, he scored a hat-trick, but he should have scored 6. Bang! Because we're all thinking it. I know, it seems so cruel to say, you score a hat-trick, and you're like, and look, he'll look back, he scored a hat-trick away at Tottenham. in the first 10 games of his Chelsea career, fine. That, again, just like, I said the result of the game in the history books would, reflect well, so will that hat-trick. But the truth is, he should have had I think 5 goals. Pochettino said 6. Maybe trying to say, and he also said that he needs to grow in maturity as well, because he scored those 3 goals, and fair enough, he's having a good time. He had a hat-trick of celebrations, he did like the Rashford, he did whatever this is. He was doing all the celebrations, and it was a bit like, calm down, mate. At the same time, great, Tottenham away, hat-trick, thank you very much. I don't want to denigrate him. I'm a firm believer that he could be excellent. And if you watch my content and you've watched it all season and pre-season, you will know I'm not a hater of Nico Jackson. I'm somewhat of a believer. I'm not yet 100% convinced, but I think for 30 million quid or whatever, he could be an amazing signing. But, he should have had 6. I think 5 goals, because there's one sitter he missed. The header he should have scored. And, Pochettino was like, he could have just been like, oh yeah, it's good for him. But for him to say, no, you should have scored 6, I sort of felt a big sigh of relief. Like, yeah. Keep working hard, watch it back. I'm sure the coaches will sit him down and say, see here, that you're running to not only with the chances that he missed, but the open channels of just staying on side and not calling for the ball from an offside position. And this is relevant because I think he'll have opportunities to do this against City. And he's in my lineup as well. Another spoiler, we'll look at that in a second. So I'm so pleased that he sort of called him out publicly on that. But it's not like he's doing him dirty, because Pochettino's been such an avid defender of Nicolas Jackson. In the frustrating times, he's like, no, I believe in him. He could be great, And he hasn't changed his tune after a hat-trick. He said in this press conference as well, like, it hasn't changed my opinion on him, He should have scored more. But, either way, it hasn't changed my opinion. I know what he is. I know how good he can be. And he needs a bit more maturity and stuff. He does believe in Jackson. This is like a massive talking point of Chelsea don't know what they've got with him. And Brewer as well. Like, I think Liam Twomey said this as well. Like, they probably will sign a striker. But they're in this weird no man's land where they don't know what profile of striker, how expensive to get, how old. Purely down because they just don't know what they've got with Jackson. This guy's just touched down. He is selfless often, but he's also just been really poor at finishing at times. But it looks like his profile and his ability and these one-touch combinations, and he's not a wuss, He's not like when Morata first touchdown at Chelsea. He could be amazing. And if Chelsea don't indulge these early teething issues with both Brewer and Jackson, they might miss out on what could be in these guys. Do you know what I mean? If they buy in like an expensive striker, and the other, whoever does best out of Brewer and Jackson becomes second striker. But if they don't get that nourishing first team time, what could be? But maybe this is Jackson's opportunity. January's not, another month, best part of 2 months. If he scores some more goals, he could pose the question, but is he good enough? Let's look at my lineup for the Man City game first. Okay, let's do that. So here we go. 4-3-3. And yes, there's a couple things here that people might not agree with. First of all, Georgia Petrovic, if he can't start at home against Blackburn, he's not starting against Manchester City. Sanchez will, of course, keep his place in goal. Reece James will start, I think. He did start against a big game away at Tottenham, got brought off to protect him for Malo Gusto. I think we'll see the exact same thing here. Chelsea's captain at home at Stamford Bridge. Reece James will start. I don't think, and again, this is something that I'm echoing from Twomey, I don't think Pochettino wants to break up the centre-back partnership of Disasi and Thiago Silva. Of course, Thiago Silva's position could easily be taken by Levi Colwill or Benoit Badiashile, who plays theoretically very well with his best friend, Disasi. But I think for the moment, a rested Silva, hopefully rested enough, in a big game like this, Man City obviously played in midweek, I think he will keep these two centre-backs playing together. Now, you could think we need to have more height in the box. There's going to be crosses for Erling Haaland, and there's going to be interplay, and maybe you need another centre-back and Colwill back there. And look, Levi Colwill is an amazing player, and he will be massive for Chelsea. Maybe this season continuing. He may even start this game, and I wouldn't care if he started this game. I'd be like, right, it's tactical. But that ill discipline he showed against Tottenham, and moments at left back, he can be a good left back, but there's moments where he's showing frailty in that sort of what that position demands, and because of that, I am going with Cucurella at left back. I feel like he will be able to be savvy more getting up and down the flank. I think his one-on-one defending out wide has recently looked better. I know Cucurella is always liable to drop an absolute worrying stinker, but I think just for the moment, in terms of being rested, in terms of being a bit older, that maturity, obviously he can retain instruction of Poch much more descriptively as a Spanish speaker. I just think for this game, Cucurella at left back. Let me know what you think. Now, nothing is switching up this midfield. Conor Gallagher, Fernandes, and Caicedo. Of course, there is a little bit of an injury scare with Fernandes. If that is the case, then for me, we play a 4-2-3-1, and Ugochukwu comes in for Fernandes. But a 4-3-3, Caicedo sitting, flanked by 2 8s in Fernandes and Gallagher. I think that's really, really important, and they will have a very important job of making sure Rodri isn't just running the show, and they'll try and nullify him a little bit. Now, one dead cert in our attack starting is, of course, Cole Palmer. I believe he's had 7 goal involvements in his last 5 games, possibly 8 goal involvements in his last 5 games. I think it's 5 assists and 3 goals. So yeah, that's what they said in the pre-match presser. One of the journalists said to Poch, 8 goal involvements in 5 games. That is an elite return for this, really, poor Chelsea attack. So, of course, Palmer starts. He will have something to prove to his former side in Man City that 40 million, was an absolute bargain for us. Similarly, Raheem Sterling. Now, this could have easily been Mudryk because Man City will have the ball, even at Stamford Bridge. And if they have the ball, then that will give an opportunity for Mudryk to run in behind. But I feel like Sterling, he's been up and down, but I feel certainly to start this game for that maturity that we're lacking, especially in the front line. I think Sterling will start. He obviously will want to try and do something against Man City and Pep, but also he will want to demonstrate to Gareth Southgate. Look, imagine if Sterling scores a winning goal against the treble winners in the Premier League after not being called up by Gareth Southgate. Nothing will be a bigger middle finger to the England manager than that. So I believe he'll start, and we'll see Mudryk. And Jackson, you can't drop a player who's just scored a hat-trick. Usually. Again, it wasn't your regular kind of hat-trick. It was a high line of 9 men, or 8 men, should I say. Eight outfield players playing a high line, essentially saying, run in behind, which of course won't be afforded to him in this game. But despite that, if we are playing in transition, Jackson will be good for that. So I think Jackson should start. Of course, we could always see the 4-4-2 that we saw against Arsenal. But then again, Tottenham were top of the league when he was planning for that, and he decided to go with a striker. So it's really, really interesting. I mean, of course, we could see the 4-4-2 again, which actually, when we played that, would have been Gallagher and Palmer, Sterling, like this, and we saw it was actually Madueke? I think it might have been Madueke playing there in the bank of 4, which would actually be really, really robust. Of course, also if it's not Madueke, you simply switch them over and you find Mudryk and you play like that. So you play the 2 pressing forwards, Gallagher and Palmer, playing between the lines. Of course, they've got big boy centre backs, even without John Stones. Although John Stones, is playing in midfield, kind of. But you've got Diaz and Akanji and Ake. Do you know what I mean? These big, strong centre-backs. So playing, rather than trying to just play at Nico Jackson, you could play as 4-4-2. This would be really strong for transition as well. And actually, if we play that, then I'd be much more comfortable with playing Colwill. So, because you've got... the back 4 is more defensive because you've got a bank of 4 in front of you. So, Colwill's just locking down that flank for Mudryk to run, for Sterling to run. Sterling could go inside. Reece James could overlap. Disasi's fine with sitting in this space here. You could play that de facto back 3, and you could create an overload. Hopefully, it would just be a wild mess of players that hopefully Pep doesn't know what to do with. But that's 2 options that we could see in this game. Interesting indeed. I'll be very, very interested actually to see how we approach this, because this is the second hardest game, in the fixture list, when the hardest being Man City away, having them at home. I think it's just going to be such a massive test. I don't think we're going to get spanked. The thing is, what I do worry about is in that opening 10-15 minutes when Tottenham scored that goal. A little bit lucky, a deflection of Colwell. That's another reason to maybe take him out, turning his back on a shot like that. We looked so scared and rattled. We looked really rattled in this. And Man City are a team that definitely can stick up you and rattle you. So if they score an early goal, we're liable to crumbling and being afraid, essentially. So it's really about, and I know since that Udogie initial yellow card on Sterling, that should have been a red. That's when the game turned. And 11 versus 11, we were the better side. But there was that early phase of play when we were frightened. And if there's one team that can frighten you big time, it's Man City. Look, I would absolutely love a win here going into the international break again in good form, which is a frustrating time to stop the domestic or the league season, pause it rather. I just don't think we're that good yet. I think we're pretty good. I think we've got stuff to sort out. I think we've shown flashes and promise. But can we defeat high-flying Manchester City with Rodri back? Great result in midweek. Another brace for Haaland, and then he was taken off to be protected. My head says a loss, like a narrow loss, but my heart says a draw. So I know that's not really ambitious, but it's where we are at the moment. Don't get me wrong, I will absolutely lose my sugar, mate. If we win, I'll be very, very happy indeed, of course. But I'm going to say a 2-2 draw, I think. Let me know what you think. Comment down below. Do you like my lineup? What would you change? What do you think the scoreline's going to be? Be realistic. Do you like what Pochettino said about Nico and gang? I think it's actually quite positive. So I'm feeling quite good, yet realistic. As long as we don't get so embarrassed before the international break, I'm good. I look forward to reading your comments. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and I will see you very soon.